Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Good
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Good to have you all back. And today we are going to be looking at the 17th chapter. And it's really, it's amazing how days just flew by. Today is the 17th, and tomorrow we will be completing the 18th days overview course that we embarked on. And I'm really glad that some of you have really, liked this and have been able to continue, your journey thus far. And really looking forward to all of you, continuing this journey by way of registering for the higher levels as well. And in case for some reason you're not able to do so at this point in time, I would recommend that you continue reading, these texts. These are available online, the digital format, as you can see, that which I use from time to time in these classes as well. And that apart, you can also buy a copy of these books. These books are not very expensive. I'm sure they must have posted it in the WhatsApp group. You can either buy it as a bundle. The bundle comes with a few books and the Japa Mala. But if you don't want that, then you only want this book, then you can pick that up from Amazon, okay? And it's available at a very, very reasonable price. All of Prabhupada's books are available, are normally reasonably priced, or priced in such a way that there's no profit. It's only for the sake of, recovering the cost of printing, and binding is what is charged. Otherwise, there's no other charges there. Or if any of you are staying close by to any of these ISKCON temples, you can even walk up there and pick up a copy. Okay, so there are several options, but I would always recommend that you kind of, keep in touch with what you have studied. And as I said, once you kind of, are able to like this, then obviously you will develop a taste to understand and keep in touch with it. So it'll become easy. And whenever you find time, then I would suggest that you join the level 2, because once you finish level 1, admission to level 2 can happen whenever you're ready for it. And the other best thing that can also be done is always carry a small copy of the Gita in your sling bags, or in your bags, or wherever, whatever kind of a work bag that you'll have. And of course, as I always say, our books, Prabhupada's books are not too big either. They're very small. Okay, you can have this copy along with your other books on your study table, and keep picking up verses and keep reading them. But as I said, for as a temporary standby kind of a thing, this will work. But otherwise, what really works well is you need to keep hearing it, and as well as continue in a discussion format in a group, because that's what makes it more richer, and that makes it more valuable in terms of your understanding and comprehension. Okay, so without much ado, let me get to today's class. It's a short chapter, but it's a beautiful chapter and a very practical chapter, like all other chapters. But this is something that is a little more closer, because it also has a lot of things to do with the way we kind of interact in terms of our, taste. When I say taste, literally our, gastronomical taste. Okay, so all that is also covered here. So, Hare Krishna, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurum Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vande Aham Shri Guruhu Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you. Can you see my slide? Is my slide visible?
Yes,
okay, great.
Yes,
so,
Mata.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for that confirmation. So yesterday we studied all about the various qualities that are there in the living entities, and particularly the human entity. And the Lord, it is said in the Bhagavatam, if any of you, continue your journey and you kind of relish the Bhagavad Gita, then you will automatically have a great kind, you'll develop a taste for Bhagavatam as well. And in the Bhagavatam, it is said, even the demigods like Indra and all the all the devas and devatas, they all, I believe, pray to the Lord for a human body, because human body is the only one which has the ability to kind of enter or engage in devotional service, which no other living entity has this opportunity. Okay. The Devis and Devatas do have that opportunity, but not on this material plane. The material plane is so contaminated to kind of develop taste over and above all the distractions you have is something, a joy, is something bliss. And it's something that, everyone, eagerly looks forward to. So there are 26 qualities which the Lord has listed as the divine qualities, or qualities which are absolutely, pure. They're as pure as what the qualities of of that supreme Brahman is all about. And there are also the other 6 qualities which are completely negative. Though they are only 6 in number, they kind of create a harrowing experience for all of us, and they are the ones which really pull us down. And the Lord says that once, of all the qualities that we have, if we are able to eliminate these 6 qualities, then we attain the transcendence, or we attain that level of purity that the Supreme Brahman has. And the reason for, for the kind of, attachments that we have is because of 3 basic things, which is Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Kama's desire. Our desires are actually the ones which open the gateways for all kinds of, atrocious things that we kind of, adapt, or even, kind of get ourselves contaminated with. So Kama, Krodha is anger. Desire, wherever there is desire, there will always be anger. And wherever there is desire, there will also be greed. So the Lord says these 3 qualities need to be kept in check. The desire, the anger, and as well as greed. These are the stepping stones, or is the stepping board for us to fall down deep down into the crevice of this material entanglement. So we need to kind of, ensure that we are constantly meditating on the Supreme Brahman, and also, we are able to overcome these attachments that constantly develop in us. And that the Lord said in the previous chapter, the only way we can cut this attachment is by the acts of detachment. He gave that by an example of the Ashwata, the inverted Ashwata tree. And he called the material world the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So this is what we saw in the previous chapter. I've just given you a very brief summary, a very quick brief summary on this. Okay, so today is called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the divisions of faith. Shraddha means faith. How does the various faith contribute to the kind of, taste we develop even in respect to food habits? Then how how do these people in these different modes, engage in sacrifices? Sacrifice is a part of life, as we discussed yesterday. Then austerity, what kind of habits do these people develop? And he's also going to talk about the various forms of charity that these people engage in. And then finally, he concludes everything that is there around us is given by the Supreme Lord. And therefore, that which is truth is the absolute truth, which is the Supreme Brahman. And anything which we do, which is not towards the absolute truth, or which is not conducive to attain that absolute truth, is a sat, is absolutely a waste. Okay. So let's look at that. So Arjuna is going to ask. So all along, he has asked a lot of questions about people who follow, the spiritual path. And the Lord has explained very elaborately how easy it is for us to engage or get onto the spiritual platform. Now he is going to ask about people who are not in the spiritual path, and therefore what happens to them. So the Lord is going to elaborate all of that by kind of, segregating it under the following headings, as you see. Their faith, he says, everything amounts to your faith. Faith, what is faith? Faith is your inner sense. The inner sense that is there in you is the one which kind of, which is the one which completely determines your worship, and also your taste, your normal taste, the food that we eat, and also the kind of activities we engage in, and the discipline we maintain for ourselves, and the charity. And finally, he also talks about sacrifice, charity, and austerity. Anything and everything that we do should be to attain that absolute truth or the Supreme Brahman. Okay, that is Om Tat Sat. So somebody wants to read this? Rajapriya Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, come.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scriptures but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So, so Arjuna, is asking a very important question here. So not everyone is spiritually inclined. See, when you are spiritually inclined, you kind of are constantly in touch with these Vedic knowledge that is there contained in these scriptures, such as the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other books that you will engage. You will develop a taste for, and as well as all these kind of devotee associations. So that will kind of help you to know, oh yeah, this is helpful. Or maybe through discussions we also find how we can develop and how we can enhance our spirituality. When that also happens, because not all of us are fortunate to be completely religiously endowed from the time we start our growing up years. So we need to develop it. Certain things have to be developed. There are very many people who are lucky, and they are highly devoted. They are highly devoted, and they turn out to be devotees right from their young age, like the way Srila Prabhupada was. But some of us may not be as lucky as many other great elevated souls have been. So now Arjuna says, what kind of behaviors and what kind of faith and what kind of, what kind of indulgences would these people have? And I think it's important for us to know that, because as I said, every time we do a self-introspection, you will know where you're going wrong only when you know the difference between the right and the wrong. If you only know the right, and if you don't know what the wrong or the other side of the river is, you will never know, where you are likely to go wrong, because we are so fragile. We are so fragile, and therefore our fragility leads us to kind of, certain paths, which we probably may not want to, but then we are taking it. And when we take that path, that which will help us is the knowledge of the right and the wrong. And that's what this chapter is going to help us. All along we have seen what are the rights and what are the things that make us go wrong. Now we are going to see, when we go wrong, how does that behavior look like? Okay. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Trividha Bhavati Shraddha, Dehinamsha Swabhavaja, Satviki Rajasi Chaiva, Tamasi Cheti Tamashrunu. The Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature, acquired by the embodied soul. The soul is an embodied one because it sits within the 9 gates. One's faith can be either goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these, he says. And 17.3, he says, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. Faith is your inner sense. Inner sense, S-E and S-E. The inner feeling that you have. That the inner feeling is what helps you to develop, your behavior. And that also, how does the behavior come? The inner sense gives rise to your thoughts, and thoughts in turn gives is seen by way of your action, and constant performance of your action turns out to be your behavior, which is something normally people will be able to predict. So the living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Now there is a little circle there. Now who is a Bhakta? A Bhakta is typically someone who is in the Shuddha Sattva. Completely, he's far more on the higher plane. For him, it is devotion comes by, naturally, because they've completely kind of, overcome all their, the attachments, and they are in a steady state of detachment. And because of the steady state of detachment, and that detachment happens because of their attachment for bhakti, attachment for prema, for Krishna. Now, whereas a person in the Rajaguna, he's kind of attached to his karma, his karmic activities. And his karmic activities leads to good karma and the not so good karma. And such a person, what does it say? 1 minute. Yeah, let me go back. And such a person, is not that he's bad, but because, if his good karma is higher than the bad karma, the chances of him going to the higher planets do exist, but that is not complete liberation. Whereas a Bhakta gets a complete liberation. Now, one who is a Jnani, what does a Jnani do? Here we're not talking about the Tamaguna, we're only talking about the Sattvaguna, the Rajaguna, and the Shuddha Sattvaguna. Now, the Sattvaguna person is someone who is a Jnani, who's very philosophical bent of mind. They read a lot, and they look for mukti, or they look for liberation, to attain the Supreme Brahman, who's the formless or the impersonal Brahman. Such a person is a Jnani. And he or she can do it provided they are able to maintain that kind of a stance, which we have read in the previous chapters, that it's very hard, at least in the Kali Yuga, it is not the best go-to method. Okay, so amongst the Rajaguna, the Sattvaguna, and the Shuddha Sattvaguna comes first because the attachment is for Krishna. And in the Rajaguna, the attachment is for your karma, or your karmic, or all your desire activities that fulfill your desires. But as long as the desires are met, in the proper way, they kind of lead to good karma. But if those desires kind of lead you to attach to kind of doing things which are improper, which are against religious principles, which are against dharma, which are against morals, which are against ethical values, which are against laws that are set for humanity, then that leads to bad karma or leads to more papa. Now, the Sattvaguna person is a Jnani, is good. It's not that it's bad, but Sattvaguna person need not always be a Jnani. It's not necessary that he has to have a philosophical mind. Even general karma, people doing normal activities can also be in the Sattvaguna. Like, for example, great teachers and great people with, who have excelled in their fields of knowledge are also Sattvaguna, because they don't look beyond, the specialization that they are in. They're also in the Sattvaguna, provided they have bhakti and prema for the Lord. That spiritual bent of mind needs to be there. If that spiritual bent of mind is not there, then you can't call them really Sattva Guna, they will be somewhere between the Rajaguna and the Sattva Guna, because still that, that engagement or that attachment to their knowledge and to their work exists. Anything we do, we need to remember that love for the Lord and that faith, is what kind of helps us to develop that love, that prema for the absolute truth. Okay. So therefore, the Lord says, depending on our nature, depending on our faith, which can either be the Rajaguna, the Tamaguna, the Shuddha, or the Sattva Guna, everything, our faith will entirely depend on these two, on the three modes that we oscillate between. Because I remember I told you, none of us are perfect in a particular guna. You can't say, Aarti is a Sattva Guna person. Aarti is a Sattva Guna person, meaning she has more of the Sattva Guna. It's not that she will not have Rajaguna and the Tamaguna. Or we say, Adarsh. Adarsh is a Rajaguna person. It's not that Adarsh is only Rajaguna. Adarsh will also have some bit of Sattva Guna and he'll also have a bit of Tamaguna. See, we are all composite of all these three gunas. Okay. 17.4 Yajante Satvika Devan Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasah Pretan Bhuta Ganamscha Chanye Yajyanta Tamasa Janah. Someone wants to read this translation? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Men in the mood of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mood of passion worship the demons. And those in the mood of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, because we saw that in chapter 5 itself, right? Because I get something, from, I need to get something from a particular deity, or because of the blessings and I need the benedictions of a particular demigod or a Devi or a Devata. I approach the Devi and Devata always. So example, if I'm someone interested in studies, I will absolutely, have my, unflinched faith in Ma Saraswati. And similarly, when someone is, is more in the thing of, making profits, or, or engages himself, in activities that leads to gains, that person will look up to, Ma Lakshmi. And whenever we want anything to go well in our families, like when we do our Graha Pravesham, all we look to Lord Ganesha, right? So all this is, so such people, they worship, but they worship, they worship the Devis and Devatas who are part and parcel of the supreme creation. They are not the absolute truth. They have been given accountabilities to do certain responsibilities to fulfill the desires of mortal souls like us. But those in the mode of passion, the Rajaguna people, for them it's anything and everything that gives them or that benefits them becomes their deity or their altar of worship. Things like they will even go to the extent of worshipping man worship, woman worship. What it means is, if there is something that I need to get from a politician or from a rich man for my own, gains, they will worship them. That is what demons mean. See, who are demons now? There are no demons in our Kali Yuga. The demons, we are the demons in the Kali Yuga. So the Rajaguna person goes to anybody and everybody as long as he gets his task done. So for him, it's nothing like he doesn't believe, in the deity, because he can't see that, right? For him, he sees that which can't be seen, can't be worshipped. He only worships that which can be seen, and from where he can get his gains. So these are people who worship, something for the sake of their own benefits. At the end of the day, it's only benefit. What I get from you. They typically live in that barter system. मैं आपके लिए ये करूँगा, मुझे क्या मिलेगा आपसे. So that is their mentality. And those in the mode of ignorance, this you still see in many parts of the country, in deep down in villages and in tribal areas. People go and worship ghosts and spirits. And I can quite understand their state of mind, because they have not really been exposed to spiritual knowledge or to knowledge in general. Because why I say this is, while there are people who do this, ghosts and spirit worship in these kind of remote areas, I can also tell you that in ISKCON, in deepest of or in the economist, areas in Africa, there are people who worship Lord Krishna. They have taken to spirituality. They have taken to Hare Krishna. So it all depends on the awakening that a person gets, the knowledge that the person is able to get. So I think it's a matter of how we are able to, gain a footing on the spiritual path. And that will automatically enable us or will help us to grow. It'll be a push. It'll push you upward. You don't have to really make too much. All that you need to do is ensure that you have your feet tight on the ladder of spirituality. You will automatically get that push from the Lord. Remember, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktana Yogakshema Bahamyam. The Lord has said, whatever you don't have, I am there to give it to you, because He's there with you. We, the soul, the super soul is within us. All that we have to do is look inwards. Inwards is where your absolute truth exists, whereas we look for truth outside. When you look for truth outside, you are engaging in attachment. When you look inwards, you don't have any attachment to the material world outside. Okay? Okay, so let's move to the next 17.5 and 6 together. Somebody wants to read this? Hare Krishna. 17.5 and 6 together. Hare Krishna. Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Kushbu Mataji. Come.
Those who undergo severe austerity and penance, not recommended in this sculpture, performing them out of pride, egotism, lust, and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture their bodily organs as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So there are people who inflict a lot of things upon their own body, and they think by doing that they are going to increase their spirituality, or they think that is spirituality. Whereas what the scriptures are saying here is, it completely abhors it. It says, Lord says, see, I am with you in your body. So how can you harm your body, injure your body? Because when you injure your body, you're also injuring the Supreme Soul who is there within you. We have no right to injure either the soul or the super soul within us. The soul is part of the super soul. And along with the soul, the individual fragment, the super soul also exists. So what right do we have? The body? You are not the body, you're only a soul. So what right have you got to injure your body, that which embodies the soul and the super soul? So the Lord completely, He says, these are abominable activities. People kind of sometimes engage in austere, extreme levels of fast, and that the Lord is not recommending all that at all. All that He needs is your love. He doesn't want you to torture yourself and say, oh, I'm fasting on Monday, I'm fasting on Friday, I fast on that day. But even within fast, there is a way to do the fast as well. It's not that you have to completely, torture yourself, go hungry. Because if you remember in chapter 3, the Lord also said, even if you kind of, forcibly do something, that which you can't do, where your mind has not been completely subdued, your mind will constantly hanker for it. Suppose I say I'm fasting today, you've seen that, right? Many, something happens, right? There is a lot of these festivals, a lot of people do, and they're waiting for the moon to come. And they say, oh my God, I'm starving. I am, I'm not drunk a drop of water. Everyone, there's so much of food that has come into the house, and my mouth is watering. I mean, that is not fasting. That is not at all fasting. That doesn't get you any benefit at all. The real kind of a thing happens only when you're able to completely stay away, when your mind is not getting swayed away. That is what is real thing. And that need not be done because you want to do it. You do it when you can. When you don't, that's not what the scriptures say. The scriptures also recommends a lot of things that can be done when you want to fast. Fasting typically means you stay away from those kinds of foods and those kind of things which you normally engage in. You are more into having a very sattvic kind of food. For example, Ekadashi. You can have anything other than, that's what Prabhupada says, you can have any food other than grains. No grains allowed. You can have sabudana, you can have lots of fruits, you can have lots of milk. So there's no torture. You kind of, constantly engaging the body with the required hydration that it requires. See, our body has been made in such a way that it needs some certain basic things. If those certain basic things are not there, you will not be able to engage in activities. See, we also learned in the first section of the Bhagavad Gita that all of us have certain basic work to do. And how will you do the work if you starve yourself? So torturing the body, starving the body is not recommended in the scriptures. Okay. And everything that people are doing is all their own fancy. And they say, no, this is how we have been doing in our family. My mother-in-law did that, my ancestors did that, therefore we are following. All that is their own imagination. That the Lord says is absolutely a no. Somebody wants to read 17.8 to 10? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, one second.
Prabhuji, please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji, come. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing foods are sweet, juicy, fattening, and palatable. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and hot are liked by people in the modes of passion. Such foods cause pain, distress, and disease. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, putrid, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So the sattvic foods are given so much of importance. Why? Because these foods are, actually wholesome and they're good for the body. They're good for the body because they don't harm you. It has all the basic things that you need for this human body. The human body does not need the kind of foods that people have. It needs plain plant-based food and things which are milk has a lot of protein that the body needs. That's all you need. But we engage our taste buds in a lot of things which are actually harmful. So those you can make out, from the kind of foods that you see all these people who are, great philosophers and all these sannyasis and the monks. They look ever young. They are so youthful. There's so much in the youth. And then, their energy levels are so high. And their ability to kind of learn and keep learning and developing themselves is so high. So when someone has these kind of foods, it really kind of shows on their health and as well as in their, and their ability, and in their, in that intellectual, what do you call it? The height of the intellect that they have. Okay. Now, people who kind of eat or, are prone to liking foods that are very spicy and things like that. Spicy food is not what the body needs. And it actually leads to a lot of problems by way of acidity and stuff like that. And people take antacids and that and this. You're unnecessarily pumping your body with chemicals that are not needed. Why? By simply, taking a taste for food that is not needed for this body at all. See, the kind of fleshy kind of food is needed by animals. The carnivorous animals need that. Our teeth are not like, we don't have those kind of, those kind of teeth which animals have. God has not given us, our mechanism is very, 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 very simple, and it needs something very light. And similarly, the scriptures also say that foods which are, which when you keep foods these days, of course, we have a habit of keeping food in the fridge and eating it for many days. That, he says, it's not good for health. And it's true, right? Sometimes when we keep it, we don't know what is the shelf life. Sometimes the shelf life may go and then it leads to food poison. We hear food poisoning so often. There's no food poisoning. And then we eat out, we bring in all these fast foods. We don't know. They say expiry date of 3 months. God knows what it is. Did somebody go and see how the food is actually transforming itself? They say 3 months expiry date. Have we actually seen how the food, transforms and how the molecules and all change within the food? So the best thing is have simple food, eat healthy. You will remain healthy, not only from the body, but also you'll remain wealthy because you will also have a lot of energy to kind of study well, to do well, and, work well, and, everything will around you will be good. And also you will think well. When you think well, irrespective of whatever you are doing, whether you're studying or you're working, you will always engage in activities that will help you to progress and not to regress. Okay. So this is a nice picture. We just put some pictures for you there. This is called Uta, we say in Kannada, Karnataka. You know, a plantain leaf. You know, people love eating when they go for all these shadi wadis and all, because shadi, the typical, I'm talking about the traditional shadi. You know, it's a nice, you get a nice, a leaf, and then you're eating on that leaf. And then when you go to all these, you know, large temples, they give you lovely food, right, as prasadam. It's so tasty. You feel so nice. This food may be very simple, but you feel so satisfied. That is the thing of attribute of a prasadam. And anything which is chilly is horrible. You need lot of water, and the more water you drink, more than what you need, you're putting pressure on your systems. You're putting pressure on your kidney, more than what it can probably function. Then these are all the fast foods which we love. You know, all these, you know, popcorns and pizzas and all that stuff. You see, a good food always is expensive. Whereas a pizza, they say, buy one, I'll give you one free. Because he's not bothered. After all, maida, it hardly costs any money, and they just throw a few little bit of things as toppings, and we just give $400-500 to have one pizza, right? So anyway, take care, have good food, and, you know, stay healthy. But then, and look at that. This is how we believe, you know, cheese. These are the things which are stored for many, many days. You can't see this. And you know how cheese is made? Those of you who don't know how cheese is made, take a look on Google. I'm sure you'll never touch it again. So of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to scriptural rules and with no expectation of reward is nature of goodness. Yeah, this is nishkama karma, right? But that sacrifice performed for some material end. When I do something, when I say sacrifice, is tyaga. Tyaga means when I do something for the sake of getting something. For example, if I have to give you a simple example, like in a school or in a college setting, the students are, you know, they you know, if they want something, you know, from for all your internal marks and all, we put in the best behavior before our teacher. We say yes to everything the teacher says. The moment the teacher turns her back, we say, oh, come on, yeah, what the hell is this teacher saying? I don't care, you know. Anyway, I hope she just gives me good marks. I'll be happy with it. So we're not doing something because we believe in it. We're not doing something really from the bottom of our heart. So sacrifice means when I do something because I firmly believe in it and I really want to do it, that is sacrifice. So in the previous slide that you saw, sacrifices when you do it because of the true desire to do the sacrifice. For example, our parents, when whatever they do for us is because they have that complete, you know, that feeling of goodness for their children. So that is nature of goodness. Okay. Now, that sacrifice, you know, done for the sake of some material benefit, because I do it because I want to get name and fame in society. I do a big function at home, and then I'm inviting people over, and I want to show, you know, how well I've done it and how much, you know, I care for people. Politicians call people all over and they give them some freebies and all that stuff. That is not charity. When you do it for the real reason, for the real purpose, and to the real people, that is charity. That is really sacrifice. Okay. And then he says that sacrifice performed in defiance, anything which is not there according to the scriptures, in which, you know, when you're not doing what you have to do, where there are no scripts, there's no prasadam, no himsa chanted, no remuneration is made to the priest. See, the brahmanas, you know, they live, we need the brahmanas as well in our lives, right? They need it for all the good things as well as for the not so good things in our lives. And therefore, we must, whatever we give them, dana, we must give them wholeheartedly. When you kind of cringe on that, we don't think twice when we have to go to a 5-star hotel and spend 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees on a meal. But when the same thing comes, giving it to someone from, you know, the bottom of your heart for also to kind of ensure that they also have their livelihood, we think twice. Okay. So 17.14, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna, Pujanam Saucham Arjavam, Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. The austerity. Now he's going to talk about the habits. What are the good habits for the body? The austerity of the body consists in this. What is that? Worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas. The habits. What are good habits? Good habits are worship, having that, that innate, real desire to worship the absolute truth. The Brahmanas, the people who are learned people, the spiritual master, the person who is kind of helping you, mentoring you and helping you to advance in life, and superiors like our parents, our grandparents. So this, he says, cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are also austerity. So one is respect to our elders in our community. Then apart from that, it's cleanliness. Cleanliness is, what did I say about cleanliness? Cleanliness is internal cleanliness. Your thoughts, good thoughts. Good thoughts lead to good actions. Good actions lead to good behavior, right? So that inner cleanliness, simplicity, lead a simple life. Nothing, there's no extravagance are required at all. Our body is what it is. And you only need that much to maintain the body. You don't need more than that. So excessive indulgence leads to excessive desire. Excessive desire leads to excessive attachment. Attachment means back in the realm of samsara. That means you're getting back into your cycle of birth. Celibacy, celibacy, is detachment from, sexual pleasures. So you need to have it with, in a limited way, that which is needed, which will happen, once you get into the grahastha, when you get married and stuff like that. All those things will automatically be there. But anything which you do unnecessarily will bring you harm. It will emotionally wreck you. So there we need to be really, really careful. And as young people, many of you have a lot of these distractions, a lot of apps and all these dating apps and that and this. Social peer pressure is always going to daunt you and haunt you. So therefore, please be careful. Lead your life well, because a lot of things that you do today because of your youthfulness will come to bite you at a later time in life. And I think I explained this in the class yesterday and as well as day before yesterday. So therefore, he says, these are also austerity. These are also habits. So therefore, you need to develop good habits. You need to develop habits of respect for elders. You need to have cleanliness. Cleanliness is that of thoughts and actions. And then lead a simple life and make sure that you're not unnecessarily getting yourself under the cover of your bodily desires. And also non-violence. Don't unnecessarily harm anybody. Harming means what? Not only physically, but also by words. Words can also sometimes be extremely violent. These days, when you open all these social media pages, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or even, our TV channels, it's just abusive. People have become extremely mindless. They've become insensitive. They don't even check what kind of words they are using, what kind of sentences they are forming. They don't realize that what they say today will have an effect not only on the present generation, but also it is going to be left behind in history for the future generation. We all have a responsibility as we grow, by every second, we become older by that second. So therefore, we are giving way to the next generation that is coming our way. So we need to ensure that we kind of lead by good example, not only for our own generation, but also for the generations that will come after us. Okay. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanyamayam tapa uchyate. So austerity of speech consists of what? Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficial. You need to always ensure that you're speaking the truth and you're not wavering from the truth. And also it should be beneficial to people. Whatever, if you're truthful, automatically it will be beneficial. Anything which is truth is beneficial. Anything which is not truth is not going to be beneficial because it's impermanent. And in avoiding speech that offends, take care, choose your words wisely. Don't unnecessarily wag the tongue. Allow the tongue to wag the way it wants. Keep the tongue in control. Silence sometimes is golden. The ancestors and our predecessors haven't said these things in vain. Silence is really golden. It's okay if you don't say something that you wanted to say. It's fine. It's not going to harm you. One should also recite the Vedas. When they say Vedas, keep in touch with these knowledge, because this knowledge is the one which will help you to achieve your goals. It will kind of keep you on track. So keep reading. Have the Bhagavad Gita on your table, as I said in the beginning of the class today. 17.16, he says, and serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of the thought are the austerities of the mind. So what is of the mind? Serenity. Serenity is a calmness. When you're calm, the mind will be able to really work well, and you'll be able to send the right message to the intellect. Simplicity. There's no equivalence to simplicity. Simplicity absolutely helps you to go egoless. Gravity. Gravity means stay centered. Don't allow yourself to, like when there is an earthquake, what happens? Everything goes haywire. So similarly, if you're not centered, you're also going to shake, like the way the earth shakes when there is a earthquake. Self-control is needed. Very many times we may want very many things, and those things may not be the best in our best interest. So control over some of those things are very essential. And purity of thought. Purity of thought will come only when you're pure, when you're only good looking for good things, when you're reading good things, when you're engaging in good things. So that's why, I always tell young people to kind of develop some good hobbies. Whatever hobbies, develop good hobbies. And there's nothing like this. There's no time to develop a hobby. I know, my own brother, he picked up, to learn the guitar much later in the sometime, later in the probably in his mid-30s or something. And he completely, went online and he's learning it, and he plays it so well. Every day, 1 hour, he sits and plays his guitar. So I'm just giving you an example, but these days there are so many Udemy and so many Domestika keeps popping up on my Yahoo page. So there are so many of in fact, I myself, I kind of signed up for some watercolor course, and it's so nice. It is, and they're very, very reasonable. They're not very heavy on our pockets. I'm sure our parents will give that kind of pocket money to us. So these are the things, anything which kind of keeps the mind engaged helps the mind to stay in control. And those are the good habits for the mind. See, we have to create habits for each, for the body, for the mind, and for the intellect. So here there is an example of Sukadeva Goswami, and that is Vyasadeva. That bearded man is Vyasadeva, and the long-haired little boy is Sukadeva. Sukadeva Goswami, as soon as he was born, he was in the womb of his mother for 16 years. He just simply refused to come, it seems. And, Vyasadeva Muni finally, took the help of Lord Vishnu and said, please make this boy, because my wife is unable to bear the pain. She was absolutely writhing in pain. She was crying. So finally, the boy came out of the mother's womb and ran away to the forest. And as he was running into the forest, there were young women taking bath, in the pool, in the rivers and in the ponds that came by on his way. And none of them really even bothered about this boy who was running naked. It didn't affect them. And Vyasadeva Muni came running behind that boy. As soon as they saw Vyasadeva Muni, all of them started picking up their clothes and covering their body. So Vyasadeva got a little curious. So once all these women and all had covered their bodies, he went to them. He said, Mata, why is it that, when my son, who was actually naked, when he ran, none of you said anything? But the moment when I came, I was fully covered, and all of you know that I'm a sage, but all of you immediately ran for your clothes. Why is it so? They said, the look of your son and the look of yours is very different. Your son is absolutely sublime. He's a holy man. Vyasadeva was also a very exalted Muni. But what this example is all about is, goodness always is goodness. Goodness reflects. Goodness has no caste, no community, no creed, no language, no country, no nationality. Goodness is always anywhere, honesty is honesty. Honesty is always on. The definition of honesty remains honesty in every dictionary of every community. Okay. So therefore, virtues are always virtues. Non-virtues are things which are non-virtuous, remain false in every dictionary. Okay. 17.17. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastat trividam naraiha afalak kankshibir yuktaihi satvikam chakshate. This threefold austerity practiced by men. What are the threefold austerity? The threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially, but to please the Supreme Lord, is of the nature of goodness. What are the threefold austerities we just studied? One is austerity of the body. Okay, we don't have to really, do anything extreme for the body. Don't torture the body. Give the body good food to eat and good food to maintain. The next one is austerity in speech. Make sure that you're not saying anything, because even wrong speech can also lead to violence. And you've seen that very many people in the recent past have said so many things, and we saw all kinds of violence happening in our country. So speech can also be turned violent. So take care of your speech. The third one is austerity of the mind. Austerity of the mind is what we just read, is keep the mind calm, keep it centered, don't waver, and make sure you have the right kind of controls so that you're able to think well. And thinking means you're going to act well, and continuously acting in that mode leads to your behavior, which becomes permanent. Okay, these are the three kinds of austerities. So when you do these three kinds of austerity with respect to your speech, with respect to your taking care of your body and the mind, Lord says, that is supposed to be in the nature of goodness. Satkara mana pujartam tapo dhambena chaivayat kriyate tad iha proktam rajasam chalam adruvam. It means those ostentatious penances, those kind of penances or those kind of dealings and habits which are performed to gain respect. When I do something to kind of, when I turn hypocritical, I do something just because I'm capricious. I want somebody to admire me. I want somebody to give me good marks. Or I want somebody to tell me, oh, that person is very good. So anything done for the sake of getting something, honor particularly, respect, honor, and reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent, because anything which you do, which is not from your inner core, is not permanent. It is not stable. So the color will veil off. The color will come out. It's like a snake. That's the way the snake sheds the skin. That skin, anything which we kind of try to put on a garment which doesn't suit us, which is not something that we can wear it often, that will show, because automatically the color will run and people will see, and maybe temporarily you got some honor, but tomorrow you will see the color out and people will disrespect you after that. 17.19, and those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy or injure others are said to be in the mode of ignorance. Yeah? 17.20, that gift which is given out of duty. Now he's going to talk about dana, charity. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place. You can give charities. Charities form a very important part of our lives, which is given to the right person at the proper time and place is without any expectation in return. That is said to be in the mode of goodness. So whenever you're giving something, whenever you want to give some charity or donation, make sure you're giving to the right person and to the right institution. Not mindlessly to someone because you want to kind of, you want to donate and you just donate it to anyone and everything. Make sure that the link, because these days everything happens, make sure that the link is correct. And you check with somebody in the group, is this the right link? Is this the right person? Is the cause the right one? Then you make the donation. Don't, foolishly do something because it's your money at the end of the day. It's your hard-earned, wealth that you don't want to just while it away to somebody, right? So next one. But charity performed with expectation of return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion, like the way our politicians give away freebies when they come for election. I'm going to give you this. That is all passion, rajasic, completely rajasic. I don't think we need any more better example than that. And even in COVID times, we saw people gave rations to a lot of people living, in not so well-off places or daily wage laborers. And you saw all of them taking selfies and posting it on Facebook. And we also had news channels airing them. Oh, so-and-so did so-and-so for so-and-so. All that is nothing but a sign of show-off, a sign to show that I have done something. Therefore, please know that, that you need to know me as a wealthy person, or you need to know me as a generous person. Such kind of acts are acts of the mode of passion. And charity performed at the improper place and time and given to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt is charity in the mode of ignorance. Just giving it away just because you want to give it away, you have a certain quota to fulfill. You're just doing it to somebody without even doing a ref check on whether that institution or the person is really good or is going to use the money for the right purpose. That is supposed to be, it's just waste. It's just, what do you call it? It is not really charity. You're just doing it because everybody's doing it, you're doing it. Yeah. That is supposed to be mode of ignorance. Yeah. Like, for example, when you go, many of you have traveled abroad, and even India also, at least abroad, they put this board. Oh, you know what? I want a drink. So please give me some money to buy a drink. Buy me a drink, they'll say. And drink is not a normal, the Coca-Cola kind of a drink. They want alcoholic beverage. That is their drink. And in India also, we see a lot of these people who are completely, who are alcoholic. And they'll kind of, they won't go for work, and then they'll beg. So that, and they'll be sitting near the, arak shop. They'll be there near the arak shop even before the arak shop owner comes to open it. So be careful who you're giving money, and ensure that the money is not being wiled away, because you have earned the money very hard, right? 17.23, from the beginning of creation, the three syllables Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. They were uttered by the Brahmanas while chanting the Vedic hymns and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari is the Lord, Om is the sign, the symbol of creation, Tat is that, and Sat means the absolute truth. So Hari Om Tat Sat is the absolute truth. And this is something that every shloka of ours, starts with Om, because Om is that powerful mantra that gives you that pranava, that gives you that energy, that is the life force in each one of us. And that Om is the absolute truth. And anything which is not revered, and anything which is not, which is not towards that absolute truth is unreal. Okay. So, sorry. Yeah. Thus, the transcendentalists undertake sacrifices, charities, and penances, beginning always with Om. Everything is with Om, because everything is for that supreme Brahman. But that Brahman who is the master of this world, who has created this world and who is maintaining it, and who will also annihilate it when the time comes. One should perform sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. That means you're doing it for the sake of that Lord who is the absolute truth. Tattvamasi means you are doing it for that Lord, that which is. Tat describes a detached work for the sake of liberation. The moment you do it for that supreme Brahman, that automatically indicates that you are detached, because you're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for your own glory and for your own honor. You're doing it for the honor of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So the absolute truth is the objective of devotional service. So bhakti or spirituality is about the absolute truth. And it is indicated by the word Sat. These works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, true to the absolute nature, that which you do for the absolute, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pritha. Okay. And he says, sacrifices and austerities and charities performed without faith, when you're doing it aimlessly, are non-permanent, O son of Pritha. Regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called asat. Only when they are done for the purpose of the Supreme Lord, the absolute truth, it is sat. Anything which is not done for the purpose of the Supreme Lord, or which is not done for the sake of to please the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, that becomes asat. Okay. And they're useless, not only in this life, the Lord says, but also in the next. So this is what we saw today. Arjuna inquired about unauthorized worship. Authorized worship, we saw a lot. what happens to unauthorized worship. And the Lord explains each of this with regard to the three modes or the three nature that each one of us would have, or the predominant nature that would be there in any of us. And then he also said, anything that is done, any charity or any kind of habits we develop or any kind of sacrifices we do should be for that supreme absolute. And anything which is not done for the supreme absolute is impermanent, because it leads to attachment. And when it leads to attachment, we get back into the cycle of life again. Okay. So this was this chapter. Hare Krishna. Any questions, please? Hare Krishna, any questions? Any questions, anybody?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, how we can distinguish between the person who is actually in need and the person who is just acting that they are in need? The distinction.
Yeah. So you need to be, for instance, my cousin recently, she sent me something. She sent me a link. And this was of a NGO or a home that was, it was some for orphan children or something. Then, and then she said, Akka, what do I do? I feel like donating. So I said, just make some inquiries about what they are, who they are, and see, if anyone in your circle that you know has also made these donations. Then when I looked at whatever, she sent me and all, it was not a proper website. So I said, look, the website is not, it seems like someone can hack. Once you get into it, you'll get hacked. I said, doesn't look too clean to me. I said, take care of that. Then she made her inquiries from people. Then we got to know that it was something fake. And, she immediately alerted everyone else, because she forwarded to all our cousins, she wanted all of us to donate. So, because, she really felt for it. It was good, right? To feel kind for somebody who's very... So you have to be careful. Even recently, there is one, I don't know, now I don't see that much on Facebook. There was this thing, what are they called? They're called something. They put a complete video of that person, and then they say this person has come up in life in such and such way, and this person wants to go abroad, wants to study further. Can you all donate? And everybody makes donation. Donation can be as small as 500, and you can even go up to 5,000 and 50,000. And I believe like that they collected some 13 lakhs of rupees or something, and it was all fake. So you have to be careful where you're making your donations. You have to inquire. Don't make donations without making inquiries. And when you make your donations to the right places, they have those numbers also, because you get income tax benefit as well. Up to 1 lakh or something, the government gives you benefit. So people who are authorized have those numbers, and those numbers help you to get income tax benefits. See, I'm not saying do donations for the sake of income tax benefit. What I'm saying is, if they have the right kind of authorizations, then you can make donations to them. If the authorizations are improper, and don't make anything without making inquiry. See, we don't make friends without making inquiries. Do we just make friends with anybody and everybody? After a few interactions only, we decide whether we need to really, continue with this kind of a friendship or not. Don't we?
Absolutely, Mataji.
So be wise. That's why I said that intellect is needed, because that capacity of the intellect has the capacity to help you to kind of make those kind of it helps you to think and helps you to keep safe. At the end of the day, we have to keep ourselves safe. Yeah, we can't let anybody take us for a ride.
Yes, Mataji.
See, after some time you will realize there are family members only who will start taking you for a ride. That also happens. It's not always the threat is always outside. Sometimes threat is also within. So you have to always keep an eye on everything that happens around you. Yeah? I'm sorry. My family is playing the TV loud. Any other question? So tomorrow is the last day, the 18th chapter. So 18 chapter is actually a very nice chapter. It's a quick summary of all the 17 chapter. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita, they say, is ends with 17 chapter, and 18 chapter is a complete beautiful summary of the entire all the 17 chapters that you studied, and it's very nice. So please, without fail, attend tomorrow's session. Okay. Hare Krishna. So who all are planning to continue with continue with your want to continue and advance in your studies? Anybody going from this batch or no?
Yes, Mataji, I want to join.
Yeah, so Sai,
Mataji.
you're doing?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, so whichever group you join, tell them once in a week will be good for you, because I know all of you are studying. So once in a week, and I think it'll be for 2 hours. Do as much as you can. Sometimes there'll be exams also. If those exams are not something that you want, you tell them these are not I can do, but I just want to stay in touch. That's also that also is there. Okay, so don't stress yourself, because these are things you need to do completely without any anxiety, without any stress. So ensure that it doesn't overwhelm you, but you enjoy it as you progress. Okay. So who else is doing? Sai.
Motherji, did the link for the advanced classes, did it come?
It should be there in your WhatsApp group, no, Prabhuji?
Maybe. I mean, which date was it like?
I don't know. I'll ask them to send it again to you.
Okay.
I'll ask them. See, I'm not part. See, we teachers are not part of those WhatsApp groups, so we don't know what is posted and what is not posted. But I will send a message across asking them to post it again. Okay.
Okay. So did that class start already?
No. It will start only after the 18 days are over. It will start probably the first week or second week of August.
Okay, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Who else is joining? So Prabhuji is joining, Rajpriya Mataji joining, Kushbu Mataji. Who else? See, keep practicing bhakti, and also engage in these the knowledge of these scriptures, because each time you read it, it will be different. For example, probably the next class I do will probably my whole thought process will be different. Okay, because it just helps you to improve. The same text, but then the way you kind of the kind of what do you call it? The kind of an enlightenment that happens each time you look at it is very different, because we are constantly engaged in experiences, and then we are relating this knowledge to our experience. Okay. Hare Krishna. If no more questions, then please come sharp at 7 tomorrow, because 18th chapter is a long chapter and it will take a while. Okay. So we'll see you tomorrow. If no more questions, I will end this class today here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Have a nice evening.